To be able to recognize when a player wins a game of tic-tac-toe, you'll need to tell the computer what a winning tic-tac-toe grid looks like. In the code you've been given, the tic-tac-toe grid is a 3x3 2D array of characters that keeps track of where or if an X or O has been played. When you first start a game, the grid has 9 empty spots, and as you play, the spots fill up with the symbols X and O. So at any time, a spot can either be empty, have an X in it, or have an O in it. And in our code, the grid array keeps track of these 3 possibilities with 3 different characters. An empty spot is represented by the dash character, and X's and O's are just their own lowercase letter. And each character in this grid is stored in an index in our 2D array. This top left empty character is at the pair of indices 0, 0. And to access this character value in code, we write grid 0, 0. So right now, grid at the index 0, 0 is equal to a dash character because it's an empty spot. And right next to this spot is grid 1, 0 and grid 2, 0. And these are also dash characters because this whole row is empty. But if there was an X at the index 2, 0 instead, then grid 2, 0 would equal the X character. Now what about these other spots? Well, the spot right below 0, 0 is 0, 1. Can you guess what the indices will be for this bottom left corner? This pair of indices will be 0, 2. And you might be noticing a pattern. To access the character at any position in this grid, we can basically treat these indices as x, y coordinates. But in programming, instead of using x and y, it's common to use I and j. So let's say we have integer variables I and j that are coordinate positions in our grid. So for the pair of indices, grid I and j, I keeps track of which column we're in our array, 0, 1, or 2, counting from left to right. And j keeps track of which row we're in, counting from top to bottom, again, 0, 1, or 2. So the center spot of our grid is at the index 1, 1. And the bottom right corner is grid 2, 2. And so on for the rest of the characters in our grid. They're at the index I, j. So right now, grid 1, 1 and grid 2, 2 are equal to the dash character because they're empty spots. But say there's an O symbol here, then grid 2, 2, this bottom right corner, will be equal to the character O. Let's get more practice visualizing a 2D array like this.